Today's headlines: Philippines won't play ball with ICC probe. Duterte favors House hearing over Senate. Sara to seek re-election. Granular Lockdown explained. Woman nabbed first coming PNP AFP application. Africa COVID jab shortfall could take world back to square one, according to the WHO. Airlines seek curbs easing. Bolts shine, sun stars. ITCZ to bring rains in Southern Luzon, Visayas and Mindanao. Good morning, I am Roy Pelovelio, and this is Tribune News on Q. Today is September 17, 2021, and these are the latest news this Friday morning. The Philippines will not cooperate with the International Criminal Court's formal investigation into the alleged crimes against humanity committed in President Rodrigo Duterte's anti-narcotics drive, Malacanang said Thursday. Duterte's spokesperson, Secretary Harry Roque, and Chief Presidential Legal Counsel, Secretary Salvador Panelo, both said the chief executive was unbothered by the ICC pretrial chamber's announcement that it had found a reasonable basis to probe the drug-related killings logged from July 2016 to March 2019 and in November 2011 to June 2016, which supposedly involved the Davao Death Squad. He, along with Panelo, reiterated the administration's stance that the ICC has no jurisdiction over the affairs of the Philippine government. The two officials said the looming probe was barred by the principle of complementarity, which states that the ICC can only mount an investigation if a state is willing or unable to do so. The Philippines, they maintained, does not need foreign entities to probe alleged human rights violations since the country's judicial processes are functioning, citing the ongoing investigation of the Department of Justice on drug-related deaths. Judges at the ICC, meanwhile, said the specific legal element of the crime against humanity of murder has been met in Duterte's drug war, which left thousands of alleged participants dead, prompting it to proceed with the investigation, which has since been welcomed by local and international human rights groups. The order to investigate was signed by Judges Peter Kovacs, Rene Adelaide, Sophie Alapini Ganzo, and Maria del Socorro Flores Leira, who considered evidence presented on behalf of at least 204 victims, according to the Hague-based tribunal. Former ICC prosecutor Fatou Bensouda filed a request to investigate just before her retirement in June. Her successor, Prosecutor Karim Khan, will now oversee the actual probe and possible trial of the case. President Rodrigo Duterte is permitting cabinet officials to attend the next Senate's inquiry into the government's alleged misuse of pandemic funds, even as he expressed preference to the probe conducted by lawmakers at the lower house. Speaking in his second public address this week, which aired Thursday, Duterte said he's allowing Health Secretary Francisco Duque III and Vaccine Czar Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. to appear before the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee to answer questions on the government's controversial purchase of medical supplies last year. Duterte also defended Duque and Galvez anew from criticisms and reiterated the palace's position that there were no irregularities in the government procurement. His declaration came days after he had ordered officials of the executive branch to seek his permission before attending investigation, as he stepped up his attacks against senators, particularly Senator Richard Gordon, who chairs the Senate Blue Ribbon panel. As he continued to blast senators, he lauded the House Committee on Government and Public Accountability, which held a separate probe on Wednesday on the same issues, saying it gave resource persons a fair chance to be heard, minus the bullying and grandstanding the public saw during the Senate investigation. The President even included portions of the House inquiry held Wednesday during his 2-hour public address. Among the portions shown to the public were the explanation of former Procurement Service Director Warren Lex Leong, now overall Deputy Ombudsman, on the purchases, and the statement of Commission on Audit Chair Michael Aguinaldo, which effectively cleared the administration of any wrongdoing. During the House hearing, Representative Michael Aglipay said he was saddened over the Senate's alleged attempt to destroy the President's credibility in its investigation in the procurement of pandemic response supplies. House Deputy Speaker Rodante Marcoleta also questioned the investigation in the upper chamber as he accused senators of refusing to believe the COA's clarification that there was no overpricing in the procurement of COVID-19 protective gears. Sara Duterte Carpio, the President Rodrigo Duterte's daughter, will seek re-election as Davao City Mayor in the next year's elections, her spokesperson confirmed to Daily Tribune on Thursday. Duterte Carpio made the decision despite the loud calls of her supporters to vie for the government's top post and continue the legacy of her father, President Rodrigo Duterte. She earlier declared that she will not seek the presidency in the next year's elections in accordance with her deal she made with her father that only one Duterte will gun for a national position. Last Wednesday, she began rallying support for her father's vice presidential bid and noted that she can now show her patriotism and love for the country by taking care of her city. The ruling PDP Laban Party on 8 September formally nominated Senator Christopher Bongo and Duterte as its official bets for the upcoming polls next year. The president accepted his party's nomination, while Go repeatedly declined. Last 13 September, over 10,000 people joined the hybrid launch of the Hugpong Para Kay Sara citizen movement to urge her to be a presidential candidate. The group also appealed to the president to drop his vice presidential bid and give way for Duterte Carpio's candidacy. It was in July this year when she bared her openness to run for president in 2022 and started consulting with the local leaders in Cebu province, the most vote-rich province in the country. Even if she has yet to declare her presidential bid, several incumbent and former government officials have reached out to Duterte Carpio to discuss their election plans with her. Tribune News on Q will be back after these short reminders. We're back on Tribune News on Q. Local government units have been given the discretion to lock down any area in their jurisdictions, conscious of the fact that smaller is better. Interviewed on Daily Tribune's morning show, Kising Na, Interior and Local Government Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya said granular lockdown is no longer new. He said this has been enforced since last year by the LGUs. He said if the area to be locked down is small, there is no need for advance warning. Returning residents of the area under lockdown will be allowed inside, but will no longer be allowed to go out, according to the Department of the Interior and Local Government official. If there are COVID cases in a condominium, Malaya said only the affected unit or units will be placed under lockdown. Malaya said the LGU can mobilize barangay officials, the police, Bureau of Fire personnel, and other agencies under DILG to enforce the lockdown. He said the LGU can request additional policemen if need be. A 22-year-old woman was arrested for scamming police and military applicants of over 830,000 pesos and stealing a motorcycle during an entrapment operation in Cabagan, Isabela, police reported. Arrested was Jebelin Bungkag, a resident of Reyna Mercedes Town, who introduced herself as Police Major Charlene Rafin in her transactions, according to a report from the Cagayan Valley Regional Police. Members of the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group and Highway Patrol Group field units in Isabela, along with Cabagan Police, carried out the operation at a local hotel Wednesday. Earlier, one Alexander Macapulay Jr., a PNP applicant from Lasam, Cagayan, sought police assistance because his motorcycle was missing from his boarding house in Kawayan City. Macapulay suspected Bungkag of having a hand in his motorcycle's disappearance, as he had just met her to pay an initial 15,000 to fix his application to the police. During the entrapment, Bungkag transacted with another person whom she promised to help enter the uniformed services, the report said. Operatives found her using Macapulay's missing motorcycle, so she was immediately apprehended. Investigation indicated that she was in no way connected to the PNP or AFP, the regional police said. Members of the Isabela Provincial Police managed to interview several other men who admitted to paying Bungkag sums of money in exchange for her assistance in entering the police and military service. Africa faces a 470 million shortfall in COVID-19 vaccine doses this year after the COVAX alliance cut its projected shipments, raising the risk of new and deadly variants. The WHO said on Thursday, only 17% of the continent's population will now be vaccinated by the end of this year, compared with the 40% target set by the World Health Organization. The global agency's Africa unit said at its weekly briefing in the Congolese capital of Brazzaville. Due to global shortages, the COVAX alliance set up to ensure equitable delivery of jobs will ship about 150 million fewer doses of vaccine to Africa than earlier planned. Taking into account the shortfall, the 470 million doses of vaccine now expected in Africa will allow only 17% of the population to be fully protected. The WHO's regional office said the reduction in the vaccination target comes as Africa passes the 8 million mark in infections this week. The WHO said about 95 million doses should have been received in Africa via COVAX during September. But despite the resumption of shipments, Africa has only been able to vaccinate 50 million people, or 3.6% of its population, says WHO Africa. The COVAX international funding mechanism is supposed to allow 92 disadvantaged states and territories to receive free vaccines funded by more prosperous nations. Last week, it revised its forecast downwards, explaining the lack of doses by export bans, the priority given to bilateral agreements between manufacturers and countries, delays in filing applications for approval, among other reasons. Tribune News on Q will be back after these short reminders.
It's time for the world to know. Outstanding Filipinos in America. The 11th Outstanding Filipinos in America Awards 2021. A salute to the heroes of coronavirus. Coming back live in person at Carnegie Hall in New York City, home to the TOFA Awards since 2011.
We're back on Tribune News on Q. As the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases allowed interzonal travels for Filipinos, thereby encouraging domestic tourism, the airline industry now clamors for the relaxing of rules on air travel, particularly on the fully vaccinated. Airline officials sought the help of Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship, Joey Concepcion, to help in the delivery of their request to the government, noting that prolonged COVID-19 restrictions will lead to the death of the key industry. Major airlines asked the government to allow increased mobility of vaccinated Filipinos to allow them to recover revenues lost since the COVID-19 pandemic worsened in March 2020. Concepcion and airline sector representatives had a meeting with Dr. Edsel Salvana, one of the advisors of the Department of Health, to air their concern over the strict policies that discourage travelers from flying to various parts of the country. Among the questioned rules are the multiple requirements for traveling, even for domestic destinations, and the expensive testing, as most destinations require an RT-PCR test and a lengthy quarantine for arrivals. When it comes to international flights, flag carrier Philippine Airlines, represented by President and COO Gilbert Santamaria and Senior Vice President and Chief Strategy and Planning Officer Dexter D., said travelers considered requirements such as testing and the 10-day quarantine period very burdensome, thus discouraging them from pursuing travel plans. PAO, for its part, proposed piloting a new protocol that will reduce risk and cost to passengers in international flights. Meralco hardly missed the presence of its key players as it notched a 95-83 win over Terra Firma to inch closer to the quarterfinals of the 46th Philippine Basketball Association Philippine Cup yesterday at the Don Honorio Ventura State University in Bacolor, Pampanga. In the second game, NLEX kept its playoff hopes alive following a 90-73 win over Blackwater. Junior Quinyahan fired 16 points, 8 rebounds and 2 assists, while Philip Panyamogan added 14 markers for the Road Warriors, who snapped their 3-game slide with their 5th win in 10 games, while dealing the Bossing their 18th consecutive setback dating back to last year. The Bots banked on the steady hands of Bong Quinto and unloaded a big fourth-quarter rally to overcome the Jeep and pluck their 6th win in 9 games that solidified their hold on the second spot and put them a win away from the second quarter-final slot. TNT Tropang Giga emerged as the first team to reach the quarterfinals and pocket the twice-to-bear advantage after racing to a 9-1 win-loss start. Quinto led the charge with 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists, while Ancho Karam added 13 points on 3 of 4 shooting from the Rainbow area for the Bolts, who came from a week-long break after being placed under health and safety protocols. Swingman Cliff Hodge and gunner Chris Newsom, however, remain out as they have yet to be cleared from COVID-19 protocols. Still, Meralco coach Norman Black said their defense pulled them through. The Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical and Services Administration said that the Intertropical Convergence Zone is expected to bring rains in Southern Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. According to the Weather Bureau, the low-pressure area is also being monitored. The LPA was estimated at 90 kilometers east-southeast of Romblon. Metro Manila, Central Luzon, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, Western Visayas, Zamboanga Peninsula, Bangsamoro, Soxargen, Isabela, Quirino, Nueva Vizcaya, Benguet, Ifugao, La Union, Pangasinan, and Camarines Norte will have cloudy skies with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms. Pagasa said the rest of the country will be partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms. The temperature will range from 24.6 degrees Celsius to 31.9 degrees Celsius. and that wraps up the stories this morning. Before we go, we would like to thank the SM SOAR, Araneta Center, the Department of Tourism, MG Motors, Hina Motors, Security Bank, and Overseas Community Affairs Council member Alan Lin of Republic of China for their continued support. Again, this is Roy Pelovelio and you're watching Tribune News on Cue. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home. Good morning.
Catch the latest news on our website tribune.net.ph and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune Now. The Daily Tribune is one with the nation in facing the COVID-19 crisis, and in line with this, the Daily Tribune Digital Edition and Press Reader is now available for free online. You can also download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store for iOS users and Google Play for Android users to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune is also inviting everyone to join its community Viber Katribu to get updates on the freshest and hottest news and entertainment stories of the day. Tarcito emoticons are also available on our community Viber. Just click on the link in this video to join.